Next year will be the 250th anniversary of the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. Over the next 365 days, I expect to see plenty of opportunities to remember the date. I want to start by remembering the reason why we declared independence in the first place. So we'll look at that next on the Constitution Study.
Love the neighbors and have a few good friends. Every day we're everyday Americans. Oh, every day we're everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel here with the Constitution Study, where we read and study the Constitution, teach, rise, and generation be free. Glad you could join me today. It's a big day. It's 249th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. There's a bit of a story behind that I'm really not going to get to today, but I want to take some time and look at the grievances that led us to declaring independence. You can find out more by going to the website constitutionstudy.com. You can find the written article with all the links to all of my sources right there. Now, I'll talk more about the website and some other ways you can support the work that we're doing here at the end of the episode. But for now, let's talk about Independence Day. Every nation has a 4th of July, but only in the United States is that date Independence Day. As the semi-quincentennial or 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence approaches, I think why we separated from Great Britain is worth a closer look. Before declaring themselves independent from Great Britain, the colonies provided 27 specific grievances to justify themselves. Sadly, we can claim those same grievances against the federal government today. He has refused to assent to laws the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. Have you noticed how often federal judges feel they can overrule federal law? I'm not saying there are not times when laws, regulations, and executive orders are not unconstitutional, but more and more it seems that judges place their opinions above the supreme law of the land. Over the past few months, we've had hundreds of examples of judges issuing preliminary injunctions and temporary restraining orders, allegedly preventing executive orders from taking effect. Just like King George, the federal government attempts to rule by edict rather than law. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. Immigration is not a new issue. While today the problem is people illegally entering the country, 250 years ago the problem was the king not letting people immigrate to the colonies. This is just another example of centralized rules infringing on the rights of others. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. Okay, the federal government hasn't dissolved the state legislatures or called them to meet somewhere else, but that doesn't mean they haven't found ways to fatigue them into compliance. After all, the federal government has been bribing the states with embezzled money for decades, threatening to remove funding if the states do not comply with their wishes. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. Currently in the United States, all three branches of government have obstructed laws regarding immigration into the United States. Since the Constitution does not delegate to the United States the power to regulate immigration, the laws passed by Congress for that purpose are unconstitutional and therefore void. Yet courts have repeatedly upheld them in violation of their own oath of office. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment of their salary. The courts have repeatedly obstructed the administration of justice by refusing to assent to state laws that exercise powers not delegated to the United States. While not for establishing judiciary powers, the federal government has interfered with many states' apportionment and election of members to the House of Representatives. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. If there is anything that can accurately describe the federal government, it's the multitude of new offices Congress has created, along with the swarms of officers that harass our people, our businesses, and violate our rights. My research shows that 90% of the executive agencies are exercising powers not delegated to the United States, making not only their rules and regulations unconstitutional, but their very existence as well. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. You may have not noticed, but we have standing armies with us today. Sure, their budgets are only good for 2 years, but Congress has consented to these armies. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. Well, at least there's one grievance the federal government hasn't repeated, at least not yet. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. I have 2 words for you: United Nations. People from Congress, presidential administrations, and courts have been trying to make us subject to their whims for decades. I guess they forgot that under the Supremacy Clause, only treaties made under the authority of the United States are the supreme law of the land. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. Okay, there's a second grievance the federal government hasn't violated yet. After all, no one is quartering troops in your home yet. That said, federal courts have routinely claimed that law enforcement is immune from prosecution. Isn't that a form of mock trial? For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent. Now, Congress has cut off trade with other parts of the world, but we did give them that power in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. However, the question of imposing taxes on us without our consent is another matter. Yes, in Article 1, Section 1, Clause 1, we did give Congress the power to tax us, but that power is limited. The Congress will have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. You see, Congress can only collect taxes to do 3 things: for paying the debts of the United States, for the common defense of the United States, and for the general welfare of the United States. Notice the capital U and capital S. That's a proper noun. Congress is not authorized to collect taxes for the welfare of the states or the people, but only the United States. The same United States, the 10th Amendment states, powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Now, since we only consented for Congress to collect taxes for those 3 purposes, every time Congress uses tax dollars for something else, it is not only unconstitutional and without our consent, but it's also embezzlement, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury. Have you heard of administrative law courts? These are unconstitutional courts where you are denied due process, and everyone there, including your lawyer, works for the federal government. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its borders so as to render it once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. What would you call declaring people enemy combatants and sending them to Guantanamo Bay? That's not only transporting us beyond the seas for pretended offenses, but establishing an arbitrary government. For taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government. For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. See, unlike the colonies, the states weren't created by the federal government, but the other way around. So in Congress, the president and federal courts substitute their opinions and agenda for the Constitution that created them. They are acting unconstitutionally. You see, when the feds exercise powers not delegated to them, they are effectively taking away the state's charters and abolishing their laws. They just don't suspend our state legislatures. They effectively make them meaningless, investing themselves with the power to legislate at the state level. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. What happens when those who take an oath to support the Constitution instead violate that oath? Is that not abdicating their role as government? Is that not waging war on our rights? He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. How much damage has been done by federal policies? They prevented people from cleaning up forests, which leads to large fires, while the EPA made rules that led to poisoned rivers. These rules and regulations, none of which are law, are enforced as if they were. Does that not destroy the lives of our people? He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the work of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. Does this sound like importing large numbers of foreign gang members into the country to traffic in drugs, sex, and people? He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. Well, they weren't taken on the high seas, neither were they forced to bear arms against their own country, but the federal government has used the draft to conscript its own citizens to fight for it. He has excited domestic insurrections among us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. The previous administration brought in foreign inhabitants to make war against us. Not the American Indian, but the Mexican cartels. As the semi-quincentennial of the signing of the Declaration of Independence approaches, I expect there will be several special celebrations. I think the best way we could celebrate is to both remember why we separated from Great Britain and remember those reasons as we examine the actions of our federal government now. By all means, celebrate this Independence Day. Please remember, though, if we read and study the Constitution, and if we are prepared to defend and assert our rights, then every day can be an Independence Day. I hope you celebrate Independence Day. I hope you enjoy and have a great time, a safe time, but also a time to remember why we declared independence and why every so often we need to look at our government and see if they're violating the same rules, giving us the same grievances as our founding fathers. It'd be nice if we had a perfect government where we didn't worry about these things, but this is the real world and it doesn't work that way. It's important that we, the people, understand not just why we broke away from Great Britain, but the limited powers we've given to our federal government in order to keep it in check. As much as we like to point and complain, ultimately, the people in the federal government work for us. We are their employers, and they are there directly or indirectly by a choice of we the people. And that's something I want you to remember today. We, the people, as the Constitution says, do ordain and establish the Constitution. We, the people, are the sovereign in this country. We, the people, need to act that way. Now, if you'd like to learn a bit more about how we ended up with the declaration that we did, I recommend a course, Miracle of America. It's this great little online course I found that really looks at us from the Pilgrims through the Founding Fathers and explains not only why the Declaration is the way it is, but why the Constitution is as well, why the federal government is formed the way it is. Now, I liked it so much I made a deal with the owners to get you a lesson absolutely free. Just go to constitutionstudy.com/1776 study guide. You'll be taken to a custom landing page just for my listeners where you can read up about the course, read up about the instructor, but best of all, you can enroll for a free lesson on God's natural law, the foundation of our unalienable rights. Comes with a downloadable study guide, an hour of content, audio or video, all of it absolutely free. But that journey starts by going to constitutionstudy.com/1776 study guide. Also, you can declare independence from those companies that are supporting groups that want to destroy your rights. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And not only do they share our values, they put their money where their mouth is. They take a portion of every dollar and support organizations that are protecting our rights, our right to freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. They support our sanctity of life and our first responders and our veterans. So go to patriotmobile.com/constitution, find a plan that works for you, maybe see if you're eligible for a discount. Don't forget, use the code Constitution at checkout and you'll get free activation as well. That's how you can use your cell phone to declare your own independence, by going to patriotmobile.com/constitution to find a plan. Don't forget that code Constitution at checkout for free activation. You can also head to the website constitutionstudy.com, not only for this article, but for all the great content we put out. All of it meant to help inform you and encourage you to read and study the Constitution, to teach every generation to be free, and to be prepared to defend and assert your rights. And if that's something you're interested in, I hope you'll share it with others, Maybe bring them along the next time for the Constitution study.
Love the neighbors and have a few good friends. Every day